ミリーコンピューターにエキサイトバイク登場。
Excitebike is a motocross racing game franchise made by Nintendo. It first debuted for the Famicom, which was the Japanese predecessor to the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1984, and it was a launch title for the NES in October of 1985. At the start of the game, the player can choose from 5 tracks in which to race. Whether the player chooses to race solo or against the computer-assisted riders, there is a certain time limit. The goal is to qualify for the Excitebike Championship race by finishing at 3rd place or above in the preliminary challenge race. The times to beat are located on the stadium walls for 1st place and in the lower left corner for 3rd place. In any race, the best time is 8 seconds ahead of 3rd place. When the player finishes in 1st place, a message appears that it's a new record. Additional points are earned by beating the previously set record time. The player controls the position of the red motorcycle with the Y-axis of the directional pad, basically moving up and down, and controls acceleration with the A and B buttons. Using B causes greater acceleration, but it also increases the motorcycle's temperature, as shown at the bar at the bottom of the screen. When the temperature exceeds the safe limits, the bar becomes full and the player will be immobilized for several seconds while the bike cools down. Driving over an arrow will also immediately reduce the bike's temperature. The pitch of the motorcycle's airborne trajectory can also be modified with the X-axis of the directional pad. Left raises the front, and right lowers the front. In the air, this rotates the bike, but it can also be used to perform wheelies on the ground. Pushing up or down turns the handlebars left or right, respectively. If the player crashes by colliding with an opponent, or ramp, or by landing badly from a jump, the rider is knocked off the bike and lands in the field. Pushing A repeatedly allows the rider to run back to the bike and continue the race. This game has 3 modes of gameplay. In Selection A, the player races solo. If you select Mode B, CPU players join the player. And in Design Mode, the player actually had the ability to build their own racing tracks. The player can choose hills, obstacles of various sizes, and place them on the track. The player can also choose where to finish the lap, and can have a maximum of up to 9 laps. There are actually 2 enhanced versions of this game, both called Versus Excitebike. The first version was actually released in arcades in 1984, and the second version was for the Famicom Disk System peripheral in 1988, which sadly did not make it to the US, so this version didn't materialize until years later. This game is fondly remembered by those who played it on the NES, and some people have referred to it as one of the best games on the system, with some reviewers stating that this game is a staple of any NES collection. This game was one of many that Nintendo has ported to different games and consoles all throughout its existence, with the latest being the Nintendo Switch Online version, which also includes the Famicom Disk System version of Versus Excitebike. Alright, so what are my thoughts on Excitebike? Well, this game is actually personally nostalgic to me for a couple of reasons. Again, this is one of the games that I used to play whenever I went over to my grandma's. We had a Nintendo Entertainment System at my house, but we didn't have this game. So this was something that was, again, only played around the holidays or whenever I went over to my grandma's, and I would play my uncle's Nintendo Entertainment System. This game itself isn't really that involved. Anyone can come up and play it. The graphics are, yeah, a little bit primitive, but I think the gameplay holds up and is very addictive. So whether or not you are a fan of retro gaming, I think this is something that people should try out, especially if they want to try out the Nintendo Entertainment System. I definitely agree with the reviewers. This is an essential game to own for your Nintendo Entertainment System. That said, that's actually going to wrap it up for this video. Remember, if you liked today's video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you thought about today's video in the comments, and what you thought about the game Excitebike if you've played it, and if not, let me know that as well. As always, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and stay tuned because I have more content coming. I'll see you all in the next one. If you like this video and you'd like to help out with future projects on this channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Also, if you enjoy the content of this channel, please remember to click on this subscribe button. Again, I want to thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.